All right, let's do this today. This is 9.1.4, and our EQ is, which method should I use? Which method should I use? And I'm going to give you some hints about which method to use, but at the end of the day, there's going to be some idea of preference. And at the end of the day, the quadratic formula always works, right? If it doesn't work for the quadratic formula, then it doesn't work. If it doesn't work for the zero product property, it might work for the quadratic formula. So if you just want to do the one that's one size fits all, do the quadratic formula. However, there is a way to get a feel for it and kind of navigate around. So for the zero product property, one thing we want to look for, and this is going to sound silly, but it's true, does it look factorable? So when to choose, if it looks factorable. You're going to do a lot of these and start to get a feel and say, hey, this kind of looks like it's factorable. You also want it to have nice numbers. What does that mean? No fractions, decimals, etc. So nice numbers, no fractions, decimals, whatever. And last, you definitely want to use a zero product property if it's already factored and equal to 0. That's a situation where you have x minus 3 times x minus 2 equals 0, or maybe you have x minus 2 squared equals 0. Anything that's already factored, just go ahead and use zero product property, set it up, solve for the x values, super easy. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. These numbers don't look too bad. I mean, it could be rough, but we can try it out. So 3x squared minus 14x. 3 times 14 is 30, and 12, so negative 42 x squared. Okay, and what factors of, well, we know one of them is going to be negative. And in fact, we know the positive needs to be bigger, so this is positive. They're only one away from each other. So what factors are only one away from each other and multiplied to be 42? Well, that's going to be negative 6x and 7x. So I'm going to go ahead and put 7x right here and negative 6x. I'm going to pull out a 7. Here I can pull out a 3x, and then times negative 2 is negative 6x, which that works. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. And then x times 3x is 3x squared. So what do I end up with? X minus 2 times 3x plus 7 equals 0. And then we solve. We know for this one, x is just going to equal 2. We know that. We need to solve this one out. So minus 7 over, I'm going to have 3x equals negative 7, divide by 3, boom. X equals negative 7/3. So we have x equals 2 and negative 7/3. And we can always put them as intercepts, right? We're going to write them as x-intercepts. That's going to be 2, 0, and negative 7/3, 0. Boom. We're done. All right. Now, looking at the quadratic formula, how do we know when we want to use the quadratic formula? Well, pretty much if it's the opposite of that. When do we choose it? If it's decimal or fractions for coefficients. Decimals or fractions for coefficients. And if it has large, ugly numbers. I know that's a super technical term, large, ugly numbers, okay? By the way, that means numbers, in case I haven't told you. Now, I know we're just doing the same one, but I like to do it just to show you that's going to come out with the same answer. Here, how am I going to put? I also want to write always gets an answer. Now that answer may be not factorable, or that answer may look ugly, but it's always going to get an answer to do the quadratic formula. Whereas this one, if it's not factorable, then you're going to have to try it in here because it may be factorable using the quadratic formula, just not with good numbers like this, right? So let's try it out. My a equals 3, b equals 1, c equals negative 14. This is going to be x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a, which equals negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1. That negative makes a plus. 4 times 3 is 12. What's 12 times 14? Doing a calculator on another screen. 168. Ooh, I bet I know this is going to be all over 6. This is 169, and I believe the square root of 169 is 13. Let's see if that's true. Yep, it's true. So this is going to equal negative 1 plus or minus 13 over 6, which negative 1 plus 13 over 6, well, that's going to be 12. 12 over 6 equals 2. And then negative 1 minus 13 over 6, well, that's going to be negative 14. And 2 goes into both of these. 2 goes into there. It's going to be negative 7. 2 goes into there. It's going to be over 3. Boom. Which you'll notice exactly matches our answers up here. So these are your two things that we're doing this year. We're doing the zero product property and the quadratic formula. If you have any questions, let me know. Peace out.